Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nala and today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. Right, October is going to be special because yet again I'm doing another readathon. This readathon is the Stephen King Clue readathon hosted by Jake and Stacy over from The Bookish Drummer. Now, it's really a Clue themed inspired readathon and I love Clue. Clue was my favorite board game growing up. I loved it and I was kind of a master at it. I was really good at playing Clue, and Clue happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time. Even though Stephen King is Jake's favorite author and it's called the Stephen King Clue Readathon, Stephen King is not required to be read. He is calling it the Clue Stephen King Readathon because all of the weapons and victims and suspects are Stephen, and prompts, and the prompts as well, are like Stephen King based. They're, you know, the weapons are all based from weapons in his books and so on and so forth. That is the only reason it's Stephen King related at all. So I am excited because, and I'm going to include the graphics here, I'm just going to give like a little snippet of the gist of how this readathon is going to work. These are the detective teams that we get to choose from. Now, out of these teams, I had to choose Team Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew is nostalgic for me. The Nancy Drew games, first off, I lived on the Nancy Drew games as a kid. I still watch playthroughs of Nancy Drew. Every once in a while, I'll play one of the games that I have, but I'll watch the playthroughs. I'll watch like walkthrough playthroughs of Nancy Drew games, of the ones that I've never owned. And that's nostalgic for me. I had to choose Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew was my queen. So my team is Nancy Drew. Because there are no assigned team captains to kind of lead each team as we've done in the past, this is kind of like a race to win. Jake and Stacy will not be on a team. They are basically giving us the clues. So depending on a certain number of books that we have to read, I think it's 2. Once we submit 2 or 3 books, we get a clue. Like as a team as a whole, we get a clue. I'll include the graphics of the rules here, and I will also include the graphic of all of the prompts. You can pause this if you want to see the prompts, all of the prompts, but I'm going to go through the ones that I have chosen. Now, typically I can get through 12 books a month, like average. That's my average is 12. So I chose 13. I chose 13 prompts off this list because we have a maximum of 19 that we can do. Now, I'm not going to read 19 books. That's like impossible for me to hit. I know I'm not going to hit that number. As you can see on this prompt list, there are 30 prompts. So we have a max of 19 per person. If you can do that, that's crazy. I hope we have people on my team that will do that or can do that, but I can only do around 12, 13, I'm gonna say, is probably around my max limit. Without further ado, let me jump right into the prompts that I will be doing. First prompt that I'm going to be doing is read a book with vampires. Now, before I jump into the book that I'm gonna read for this, I'm not a vampire person. So why would I choose this prompt to do? Because there is one book on my TBR that happens to be a new release as well, but it's the only one that is kind of vampire related. Now, it caught my eye because of, I think it's different. Like, it sounds like it's not a typical vampire book, okay? Like, I wouldn't read it if it was otherwise. Well, first I have to say the name of this book, don't I? Okay, well, The God of Endings by Jacqueline Holland. Colette is a lonely artist who heads an elite fine art school for children in upstate New York. Her youthful beauty masks the dark truth of her life. She has endured centuries of turmoil and heartache in the wake of her grandfather's long ago decision to make her immortal like himself. Now in 1984, Colette finds her life upended by the arrival of a gifted child from a troubled home, the return of a stalking presence from her past, and her own mysteriously growing hunger. This serves as a larger exploration of the human condition in all its complexity, asking us the most fundamental question: is life in this world a gift or a curse? And it has to do with turmoil and heartache, and just not being able to die, of living for so long and enduring all of the pain that comes with it. The fact that there's feelings involved in this and it's heartache, I need to explore what this is about. So that's my pick for this one. Next prompt that I'm going to be doing is read a book with a name in the title. So for this one, I chose The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kirsten White. This one is going to be a buddy read that I plan on doing with Michaela from Michaela Reads. I am really excited about doing. I have not read anything Frankenstein related ever. I have not read the classic Mary Shelley because I saw Frankenstein, like I saw the film, and that was enough for me. And I don't really like classics, so it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, I have to read the classic. I'm just like, no, the film, the movie was good. I liked it. I'll just leave it at that. But the premise of this sounds very intriguing, and it's been on my, I'm not going to say it's a TBR veteran, but it's been on my TBR for quite some time. Elizabeth Lavenza hasn't had a proper meal in weeks. Her thin arms are covered with bruises from her caregiver, and she is on the verge of being thrown into the streets until she is brought to the home of Victor Frankenstein, an unsmiling, solitary boy who has everything except a friend. Victor is her escape from misery. Elizabeth does everything she can to make herself indispensable, and it works. She is taken in by the Frankenstein family and rewarded with a warm bed, delicious food, and dresses of the finest silk. Soon she and Victor are inseparable, but her new life comes at a price, as does everything. As the years pass, Elizabeth's survival depends on managing Victor's dangerous temper and entertaining his every whim, no matter how depraved. Behind her blue eyes and sweet smile lies the calculating heart of a girl determined to stay alive no matter the cost, as the world she knows is consumed by darkness. So this is kind of like the Victor Frankenstein's backstory and how he kind of fell into madness, and experimentations of, creating Frankenstein's monster, because a lot of people don't even realize that the scientist is Frankenstein, not the monster. Like, growing up, we all think of Frankenstein being the experiment. No, the scientist, the mad scientist, is Dr. Frankenstein, and this is kind of like his backstory. And this woman that was taken in by the family, Elizabeth, this young girl, and kind of growing up and seeing his demise into madness. So that is the gist of this one. I'm interested in this backstory. I've heard really good things about this, and I'm hoping it delivers. Next prompt would be to read a short story collection and or like a novella collection, but it has to be like the minimum page count. They are setting a rule for this. Jake is setting a rule that it has to be 200 pages or more. It can't be less than 200 pages. So I have chosen to read, well, let me get it for you. Let me get it up. The Winnie the Pooh. This is the Barnes & Noble edition. If you haven't seen my book mail video, I did this. This was unwrapped in my book haul book mail video that my dad got me. And first off, beautiful edition. I love it. It is the only thing yellow that I own because I do not like yellow. However, I love Winnie the Pooh. So yes, this is special. It leans more to the gold side. So this is the only yellow thing that I own, and I still love it, even though I don't like yellow. So, but I love Winnie. Winnie the Pooh is just like nostalgic and comfort. But this is short stories. I'm gonna read 200 pages worth of some Winnie the Pooh short stories, and I haven't cracked this open yet, and this gives me the reason to do that. Okay, the next two prompts I'm going to kind of do together. It's going to be read a book with the word dark in the title. And that's going to be The Dark Archives by Megan Rosenblum. And the prompt that I'm kind of adding with this, that I'm going to do right after this, is read a book with a one word in the title. And that is going to be Ink by Alice Broadway. Now, these two books I'm not going to go into detail about. I'm not going to talk about on here because I'm going to do a whole separate video on these two at the end of October, because I have a special video dedicated to the content, the specific content that these two books talk about. And I'm going to kind of do a whole video presentation on this topic in history that not a lot of people know about, and it's kind of morbid and creepy and fascinating at the same time. So stay tuned for that video, but these two books are gonna be the whole premise of that video at the end of October. Next prompt, which would be number 6 for me, is read a book with a readathon weapon on the cover. I chose the dagger. So the book I chose with a dagger, or like a sword dagger weapon, would be The Valiant by Leslie Livingston. This is basically about female gladiators, and this has been on my TBR for a very long time. I heard female gladiators and I was like, done. I mean, I haven't read anything like that ever, and I haven't seen anything other than this. I have never seen another story or come across another story that had that. Here's the premise, just a little snippet. Fallon, princess captive gladiator. She is the daughter of a proud Celtic king, the sister of the legendary warrior, and the sworn enemy of Julius Caesar. When she was a child, Caesar's armies invaded her homeland, and her beloved sister was killed in battle. Now on the eve of her 17th birthday, Fallon is eager to follow in her sister's footsteps and earn her place in the fearsome war band. But she never gets the chance because she is captured and sold to an elite training school for female gladiators, owned by none other than Julius Caesar himself. In a cruel twist of fate, the man who destroyed her family might be her only hope of survival. Yeah. So this sounds pretty amazing. This is book 1, I think, in a trilogy. And I mean, if I love it, I'm a series binger. So if I love book 1 in a series, I am most definitely going to binge the series. This could happen. My next prompt is going to be read a book that is a new release. Okay, now if you haven't seen already, I have posted on my channel 3 videos for new anticipated releases of 2023. That's over 100 books. So if you are in need of wanting to add to your TBR, number 1, and you want to do this prompt and you need some new releases, go watch my videos. I have 3 videos over 100 books. Okay, you are gonna find at least 10. You're gonna find at least 10 that tickle your fancy. Okay, I have a lot of new releases, so for this prompt it's going to be a surprise because a lot of my new releases are actually, I have a long wait on Libby, but some of them books I've been coming in early on Libby, so it's literally whenever. And I have a few that are like ready to be given to me in October, and I don't know which one I'm going to get first. So that'll be a surprise. And then you're going to have to see for my October wrap up which one was chosen for my new release prompt. Next is read a book that has a murder mystery. For this, I chose The Family Upstairs by none other Lisa Jewell. This also happens to be one of Jake's favorites on his list of spooky season favorites. Because they are kind of leading the readathon, they're not participating on a team. So whenever they complete a book, they are going to spin a wheel, and there's going to be different prompts that the spinner can land on. And one of those prompts, or a couple of those prompts, is, you know, if you, whatever team has read the most of Jake's favorites or Stacy's favorites, etc., gains a point, gains a clue. Gets a clue, one clue where you get clues. So this is actually going towards that as one of his favorites. So if he lands on that, then I can get my team like an extra, possibly, I can like hopefully get my team an extra clue. This would be, I think, the 4th book that I've read by Lisa Jewell. And I've talked about her before in the past in my wrap-up videos. And I'm not going to say she's not my favorite. She is not the best. However, her stories are really engaging. She's a good writer. She knows how to write a really good, engaging, dark mystery, because a lot of her stories they have a dark element. So just be aware of that when you go in. Here's a snippet of this one. Soon after her 25th birthday, Libby returns home from work to find the letter she's been waiting for her entire life. She rips it open with one thought: I'm finally going to know who I am. She soon learns not only the identity of her birth parents, but also that she is the sole inheritor of their abandoned mansion on the banks of the Thames in London's fashionable neighborhood, worth millions. Everything in her life is about to change, but what she can't possibly know is that others have been waiting for this day as well, and she is on a collision course to meet them. 25 years ago, okay, now we're going to the past tense, quite a while back. Police were called to 16 Cheyne Walk with reports of a baby crying. When they arrived, they found a healthy 10-month-old happily cooing in her crib in the bedroom. Downstairs in the kitchen lay 3 dead bodies, all dressed in black, next to a hastily scrawled note, and the 4 other children reported to live at this address were gone. The can't look away story of 3 entangled families living in a house with the darkest of secrets. Okay. Yeah. See, there's the darkness in this one. So that's the mystery. And she's good at plot twists as well. So I really need to know the kind of plot twist that she's going to throw into this one. Prompt number 9 is going to be read a book with green on the cover. For this one, I have chose book 2 in the Queens of Renthia series, which is called The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst. As you can see, green on the cover. I finished book 1 at the end of September. This gives me a good reason to jump into book 2 because, like I said, I kind of binge series. I don't like waiting. I don't like putting wait times in between books in a series. So jumping into book 2. And I'm not going to give details or read the synopsis of this because it's book 2 in a series. I don't want to give spoilers. So you're going to have to watch my September wrap-up video in order to hear the gist of what my thoughts were for book 1, which was Queen of Blood. Queen of Blood is book 1 in this series, Queen of Renthia. All right, prompt number 10 for me is going to be read a book that you buddy read with someone. For this one, I have chosen In the Garden of Spite by Camellia Bruce. This I'm going to be buddy reading with my good friend Reese. I believe this one is following a woman who kills men, and I think it's like back in history, you know those stories. I've read a couple of those stories. Belle Sorensen loves men. She loves them to death. Early in life, she discovers the world is made only for men. They own everything, jobs, property, and wives. But Belle understands what few others do. Where women are concerned, men are weak. A woman unhampered by scruples can take from them what she wants. And so Belle sets out to prove to the world that a woman can be just as ruthless, black-hearted, and single-minded as any man. Starting with her long-suffering husband, Belle embarks on a killing spree, the like of which has never been seen before nor since. Really? Through it, all her kind older sister can only watch in horror as Belle's schemes to enrich herself and cut down the male population come to a glorious, dreadful fruition. Based on the true story, this is where it gets good because I did not know that this was based on a true story until this very moment. And this is why I read books like this. Because now that I think about it, the couple that I have read were based on true stories of women who did this in history. Based on the true story of Belle Sorensen, whose murderous rampage began in Chicago in 1900. Triflers Need Not Apply is a novelistic tour de force exploring one woman's determination to pay men back for all they have taken. Okay, so when I do my wrap up at the end of October, I am also going to include information based on the true story of this woman, because whenever I read something based on a true story, I'm interested. Like, I need to research it and I need to know that, and then I will include that in my thoughts. I think it just adds to it, you know? Like, if I'm going to give a wrap up and like brief reviews on books and stories, especially based on a true story, I definitely want to give that kind of clarification on the story of the history. I think knowing the history beforehand, I think is super important for really captivating emotions and empathy and having and like understanding the characters that you're reading and the environment. I think it just adds to it. Like, you just take away a lot more once you have that clarification. So I am excited to read this with you, Reese girl. Yes, I know you're watching. And did you know this was based on a true story? Let me know. Tell me if you did, because surprise, it is. So knowing you, I mean, she's into, like, we'll be researching it together. All right, prompt number 11 for me is going to be read a book featuring a team captain. So, meaning one of our detectives that we get to choose from. For this, I know you're thinking I'm going to read a Nancy Drew. I'm not going to read a Nancy Drew. I have decided, because honestly, I would rather play the Nancy Drew games or watch like a really funny Nancy Drew playthrough, because I know the playthroughs I do watch are kind of hilarious. So if I'm gonna read a book with one of these team captains, I'm going to choose an Agatha Christie Hercule Poirot. I just have to. It's been a while since I've read Agatha Christie, and I was like, okay, I need some Poirot. So I have well, I'm gonna give you a second to kind of guess which one I've chosen. What do you think? All right, I have chosen The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by the Queen of Mystery herself, Agatha Christie. Like, she's the original queen, is she not? This one is considered one of her best that she's ever written, and some people may say it is the best. So far, the best that I've read from Agatha Christie would be Murder on the Orient Express and Then There Were None. Like, those are my two favorites of Agatha Christie. So, and it even says, like, I'm looking at the blurb right now, it says considered to be one of Agatha Christie's greatest and also most controversial mysteries. I want to be a part of this because I want to know my opinion. In an English village, a widow dies from an overdose, and then not 24 hours later, Roger Ackroyd, the man she had planned to marry, is murdered. It is a baffling case involving blackmail and death. I was going to say death and taxes. I was going to say, wait, what? Death and taxes? But it says, it says, oh, I lost my place. It says this is a baffling case involving blackmail and death that taxes Hercule Poirot's little gray cells before he reaches one of the most startling conclusions of his career. That sentence was so hard for me to say, and it's one of the most hilarious sentences I've said in a while. It taxes his little gray cells. What? That's hilarious. Most startling conclusion of his career. It says one of the most startling. What is this one? I have to know. We have controversy. We have startling conclusion. It's supposed to break traditional mystery rules, which honestly, I don't know what they are. Do you know what traditional mystery rules look like? If you do, tell me in the comments below, because I don't know. And my last prompt is read a book that's in a trilogy. For this one, I am choosing The Rook. by Daniel O'Malley, which is book 1 in the Checky Files. Is that how you pronounce it? The Checky Files. This one I'm excited for. It's been on my TBR for a long time. Then I saw my booktube YouTube bookish friend Danny from Danny Dabbles. In one of her videos, she was talking about this. And I was like, wait a minute. I forgot about you. Because I was loving the premise. She was like telling me the premise. And I'm like, yeah. That sounds fantastic. Why does that sound so, like, the title was familiar, the premise was not. I completely forgot about the premise. Went like way over and out. We are gonna buddy read book number 2. if I love book number 1, that is. And I'm considering the premise, I really think I'm gonna love it. But again, execution. She loved it. I have high hopes for it. So here's a little snippet of the premise for book number 1. The body you are wearing used to be mine. That's the opening sentence in the blurb. What? I'm immediately hooked. Who begins the letter? Mifan, I do not know how to pronounce this name right here. I mean, Thomas, last name's Thomas, we're just gonna say that, is holding when she awakes in a London park surrounded by bodies, all wearing latex gloves. What? What? With no recollection of who she is. Okay, so we have amnesia trope, memory loss. And I have read several books in the last couple months with this trope in it. She must follow the instructions her former self left behind to discover her identity and track down the agents who want to destroy her. She soon learns that she is a rook, a high-ranking member of a secret organization called the Checky that battles the many supernatural forces at work in Britain. Yes, we got a fantasy! She also discovers that she possesses a rare, potentially deadly supernatural ability of her own. Okay, so it first sounds like it's going to be a sci-fi, but then it turns into, it's like fantasy. In her quest to uncover which member of the Checky betrayed her and why, she encounters a person with 4 bodies. What? An aristocratic woman who can enter her dreams, a secret training facility where children are transformed into deadly fighters, and a conspiracy more vast than she could have ever imagined. It's a thriller. It's like sci-fi fantasy thriller. That is what this sounds like to me. And okay, first sentence, the body you were wearing used to be mine. If we're just doing like a 1-sentence challenge, I would pick this up immediately. Those are the 13 prompts that I have chosen to do for this clue inspired readathon that I will be doing for the month of October. You have until October 7th to sign up if you want to participate in this readathon. And of course, join my team, Nancy Drew. Nancy Drew was queen next to Agatha Christie, okay? That's another thing. Stacy created a, just like in the old games, just like in the old Clue game where you had the list of suspects and victims and locations that you can check off. You can actually print that off. I will link down the description box below the Google Drive, the Google document that has all the information, and Jake's Discord down below as well. So click on that, you can come join us, and it's gonna be a great time. I'm a mood reader, so when I chose this TBR, when I made this TBR and I chose my prompts, I'm in the mood for a lot of what I have on my list. Because typically with TBRs and like prompts, I'm just like, it's really hard for me because I'm such a mood reader to like stick to prompts. I'm in the mood for a lot of this. And I did that on purpose. I'm like, okay, choose the one, like you're in a mood, you already know that you're in the mystery thriller, you already have a couple fantasies that you're really excited about. And I was able to fit them in. So even these a lot of these books I would have been reading in October anyway. So it's like, I'm feeling really good about this TBR and all these prompts. I'm feeling really good about it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of these prompts, what you think of the books that I chose for these prompts, or if you've read any of these, how you got on with it, or if you think I'm gonna love it. I just wanna know all your thoughts. Put all your thoughts down below. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you can enjoy all of my upcoming new bookish content. And as always, happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.